Hello students! In this video, I am going to discuss how to square a binomial. So tayo po ay nasa second quarter po ng grade 7 mathematics. Let's start with defining what square of binomial is. Again, kapag sinabi pong binomial, it is a polynomial with two terms. And a square of something means meron po kayong makikitang 2 na naka-superscript, and that small number which we call exponent tells us that we are going to multiply that expression by itself. So let's say, for example, we have here a binomial a plus b. And what is the square of a plus b? That means we are going to multiply a plus b by a plus b or itself. So using the FOIL method po muna, so let us try to derive the pattern. Using the FOIL method, again, what is FOIL method? We are going to multiply the first terms, the outer terms, the inner terms, and the last terms. And after that, combine if there are similar terms. Okay? And let's start with the first terms, which is a times a, and a times a is a squared. Next is the outer terms. So a times b is simply ab. And then the inner terms, b times a is also equal to ab. And then the last terms, b times b, and that is equal to b squared. After this, we're going to add the terms. And the sum of the terms will be a squared, since wala naman pong kalike term po yung a squared. And then, ab plus ab, remember that there is a coefficient or numerical coefficient 1 here, invisible lang. So, combining the two, 1ab plus 1ab is positive 2ab. Okay? And then, b squared, kokopyahin lang since wala naman siyang kalike term. So, yan po yung answer po natin kapag in-square natin yung a plus b. Okay? So, what if ang i-square naman po natin ngayon ay a minus b, which is a difference of two terms. Again, a minus b squared simply means a minus b times a minus b. Applying the FOIL method, a times a again is a squared. And then we have here positive a times negative b. Remember that when the operation before the term is subtraction, automatic po, negative yung term na yon. Therefore, a times negative b, we will get negative ab. And same with negative b times a. So, negative b times a is equal to negative AB as well. Again, negative times positive is negative. And then, negative B times negative B. So, negative times negative is always positive. Therefore, ang sagot pa rin po dyan ay B squared. Okay? And then, adding the terms, we will get this one. Okay? So, A squared po ulit dahil wala namang like term yung A squared. And then, negative AB plus negative AB. Again, may 1 po yan. That means negative 1 plus negative 1, we will get negative 2. Okay? And then lastly, copy b squared po. So, we have a trinomial po, a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. And these are the patterns that we are going to use. Let's try to have another example. And let's use FOIL method pa rin. Let's say we have here 2x plus 3 squared. Again, we are going to multiply 2x plus 3 by 2x plus 3. And remember po to use the product law of exponents with this one. Okay? So, alalahanin po yung product law natin where x raised to m times x raised to n is simply x raised to m plus n. So, when multiplying same bases, we copy the base and add the exponents. Okay, so let's proceed. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. So, bakit siya naging 4x squared? 2 times 2 is 4. X times x is x squared. Kasi meron po ditong 1. Remember po, may 1 dyan and may 1 din dito. So, 1 plus 1 is 2. Next po ay sa last terms, 2x plus 3. So, this time, ang multiply lang natin ay yung numerical coefficients, yung numbers or constants. 2 times 3 is 6 and simply copy x kasi wala naman pong variable yung 3. Next ay positive 3 times 2x. So, parang binaliktad lang naman yung kanina, meaning 6x pa din po ang sagot dyan. And then, positive 3 times positive 3 is positive 9. Okay, now let us combine or add the terms. Since wala pong like term ulit ang 4x squared, kokopyahin lang natin siya. And then, 6x plus 6x, i-combine lang po natin, will become 12x. And then, just copy 9. So, as you can see, lagi pong trinomial yung nakukuha nating sagot. Yung product ng first terms at saka ng last terms ay nare-retain lang, and then we always combine the outer and the product of the outer and the inner terms. Okay? Now, let us try to use the pattern that we obtained earlier, yung ating pong square binomial pattern. So, ito po yon. Okay? Again, when we want to square a binomial, let's say a plus b, the first thing that you're going to do is, so according to the pattern, you are going to square a, which is the first term of the binomial. Kaya po siya naging a squared. Then after that, we're going to multiply ab, the first and the second terms, so a times b, and then multiply it by 2. We will double it kasi 'di ba? Laging parehas yung outer at yung product ng outer at inner terms. Lagi siyang parehas. So, i-multiply na lang natin isang beses, tapos dodoblehin natin siya. Ita-times natin sa 2. And then, the last term would be b squared, which is yung square po nung second term ng ating binomial. Okay? So, shortcut na lang po ang gagawin natin. Hindi na po natin i-multiply si outer at si inner. We simply multiply the first and the second term and multiply it by 2 or double it. Okay? So, para po hindi nakakalito, i-assign po natin ngayon. So, ito yung ating problem. This will serve as our A and this will serve as the B. Okay? So, again, yung 2x po, yun ang A. Yung 3, yun po ang ating B. Sulat natin dito. A is 2x and b is 3. Okay? So, what we are going to do first is to plug this into our pattern. Okay? So, we will change a to 2x and b to 3. And it will become like this. Okay? So, tandaan po, since 2x is a product of 2 and x, maglalagay po tayo ng parentheses. Okay? So, square of 2x. Hindi po pwedeng, hindi nyo siya lalagyan ng parentheses kasi magiging ano siya, 2x squared na diretsyo. Okay? At iba na po ang ibig sabihin nun. And then, after that is, the second term, 2ab. So, magiging 2 times 2x times 3. And then, the last term would be b squared or plus 3 squared. Okay? And after that, we are just going to simplify this. Remember po ulit, so for this particular part, this is what we call the power of a product. So, kung hindi po naaalala, i-recall ko po. When we have a product po raised to a certain power, we are going to distribute the exponent among the factors inside. So, meaning po, this will become x raised to m, y raised to m. So, yan po yung power of a product. At yan po yung gagamitin natin dito sa first term. Okay? So, 2x squared is simply 2 squared x squared. And 2 squared, of course, is equal to 4. So, let me show the answer na po. Ayan. So, 2 squared is 4. Kaya po, naging 4x squared. So, sabi ko nga, importante yung parentheses. Pag hindi mo siya nilagyan ng parentheses, ang magiging sagot mo ay 2x squared na. Which is wrong. Okay? And then, after that, you multiply 2 times 2x times 3. So, para hindi nakakalito, unahin yung i-multiply na yung mga numbers. 2 times 2 is 4. And then, 4 times 3 is 12. And simply copy the variable. Wala naman pong ibang variable, kaya kokopyahin nyo na lang yung x. Okay, and then, after po nun, yung last term natin is the square of 3. So, wag pong magkakamali ulit The square of 3 means 3 times 3. Okay, 3 times 3 is 9. So, this will be our answer. Remember that we are going to get a trinomial. At by the way, ang tawag po sa trinomial na to ay perfect square trinomial. So, di ba ang tawag natin din sa mga 4, 25, 36, 49, perfect squares po sila. And this time, since ito po ay nanggaling sa square of binomial, ibig sabihin, this is a perfect square. And it's a trinomial. Kaya po, perfect square trinomial. So, ang palatandaan lang po, the first term should be a perfect square. Ayan. So, kita nyo naman, 4 is a perfect square as well as 9. And then, yung second term natin, yung middle term po is laging twice the product of the first and the second term of our original binomial. Okay? So, from now on, we are going to use the pattern na po. So, itong pattern na to ay matutulungan tayo na mag-solve ng mga square of binomial problems kahit sa utak lang. Okay, kahit mentally lang. So, the more we practice this, the more na magiging masasanay or mamamaster nyo yung paggamit ng pattern na ito. Ayan. So, meron tayong important note dito. Remember po, kapag square ng sum of two terms, lahat po ng terms ng trinomial natin, ng perfect square trinomial, ay positive. So, positive a squared, positive 2ab, and positive b squared. And then, kapag naman po difference yung ini-square natin, so kung mapapansin nyo, same lang yung first terms nila, tsaka yung last terms. Ang nagkakaiba lang lagi ay yung middle term. So, kapag difference po siya, yung middle term po natin, difference din or negative. Okay? So, yun lang yung palatandaan para guided kayo kung tama o mali yung sagot nyo. So, kung positive ang given or plus, syempre lahat sila plus dapat. And then, kung minus yung given, dapat yung ating middle term ay minus 10. Okay? So, let's have more examples on the next slides. Expand the following. When we say expand the following, isa-solve nyo lang po yung given expression. Okay? If we are given this one, w plus 5 squared, or the square of the quantity w plus 5, let us make use of the addition pattern. So, yung plus po yung gamitin natin. Assign natin yung a at yung b. So, let a be, so ito po yung a natin. Let a be w, and let our b be 5. Okay? Ayan. So, ito yung A, ito po yung A, ito po yung B. So, ang sunod natin gagawin, ipo-plug in lang po natin ulit yung W at yung 5 dun sa pattern natin. So, magiging square of W. Ilagay muna natin sa parenthesis. Sanayin natin ang sarili na nilalagay sa parenthesis para hindi natin malimutan sa mga ibang examples pa. Okay, and then, plus 2. Constant po yung 2, Okay, so lagi yung 2. So, times A times B, that means times W times 5. And then, lastly ay plus B squared. So, ganun ulit. Square of 5. And then, let's simplify this one. The square of W, or W times W, of course, is W squared. And then, plus, multiply lang natin yung 2 at yung 5. 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, and simply copy W. Okay, tandaan, ang coefficient na W ay 1. So, pag minultiply natin yung 10 sa 1, 10 pa din naman yun. Okay, then let's proceed. 5 squared is 5 times 5, and that will give us 25. Okay? So, again, yan, we obtained a perfect square trinomial. So, ang first term natin ay perfect square. Ang coefficient po nito ay 1, and 1 is a perfect square. And then, 25 yung last term, which is a perfect square. And yung middle term po natin ay 2 times the product of the first and the second term of the binomial. So, W times 5 is 5W times 2, 10W. So, let's see kung tama. Correct. Ayan, tama po ang sagot natin. Let's try to solve the next one. This time, we have a difference. Okay, so 3n minus 5. So, para madali na po, at na hindi na tayo malito sa pagsosolve ng negatives, gamitin na natin yung pattern po na difference. Okay? Wherein yung magiging outcome or yung product natin, yung middle term niya ay negative na. Okay? So, let's assign the A and the B. Ang A po ay 3n. Ang B ay 5. So, as you can see, 5 na yung ginawa ko, hindi na negative 5. Though negative 5 po yung term na to, 5 na yung ginamit ko kasi nasa pattern na po yung negative, naka-integrate na. Okay? So, para hindi na po malito ang lahat, so 5 na lang ang ating gagamitin. Plug in na natin yung ating pong mga expressions sa pattern. A squared, which means we are going to square 3n. And then, just copy minus 2 times A times B, meaning times 3n times 5. And then plus B squared, so that is plus 5 squared. Next po is, let us apply the power of a product rule po ulit. 3n or the square of 3n is 3 squared n squared. And 3 squared is equal to 9. Okay, kaya po magiging 9n squared. Then after that, just copy the minus sign. Multiply the numerical coefficients. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 5 is 30. And just copy n. And lastly, put the plus sign. 5 squared is 5 times 5, and that's equal to 25. So, this will be our answer na po. Ayan. 9n squared minus 30n plus 25. Tingnan natin kung tama. Correct. Okay, so tama po ulit ang ating sagot. Let's have the last example. This time, kung mapapansin nyo, may variable yung first term, may variable na din yung second term. So, paano naman kapag ganito yung problem? Dahil addition yan, gagamitin natin yung pattern na addition. So, that means positive lahat ng terms. Assign po natin ang A at B. Ang A po ay 7C at ang B ay 8D. Okay? So, substitute na natin sa pattern. The square of 7C muna. So, this is A squared plus 2AB. So, again, constant yung 2 times A, which is yung 7C, times B, which is yung 8D, plus B squared. So, ang B natin ulit is 8D. Kaya po siya ay square of 8D. Okay? So, let's simplify na po. Applying the power of a product rule po ulit, 7C squared is 7 squared C squared. And 7 squared is 49. 7 times 7, C times C. Yun po yun ha. So, 49C squared. Plus, 2 times 7 is 14. And 14 times 8 is equal to 112. And then after that, since dalawa yung variable natin, i-multiply natin sila, C times D. And since we cannot apply the product law here, we are just going to copy C and D. Ganyan lang, CD. Hindi natin pwedeng gamitan niya ng product law kasi magkaiba naman ng base. And then lastly, apply ulit ang power of a product. 8D squared is 8 squared D squared. And 8 times 8 is 64. And then, syempre, D times D is D squared. Okay, so ito na po yung final answer natin. Tingnan natin kung tama. Okay, so the final answer is 49C squared plus 112CD plus 64D squared. I hope natutunan niyo pong mabuti kung paano mag-square ng binomial. So, if you still have more questions po, mag-message lang po kayo kay ma'am. That's all. Thank you and see you on the next video.